Hello everyone and welcome to my 50th review. Today I'll be reviewing To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. At the time of going into this, I knew really nothing about Kendrick. I knew of him being a rapper and part of Top Dog Entertainment, but going into this I didn't expect anything revelating. But I knew he would go for something different sound-wise, seeing producers like Terrace Martin, who was all over this album, and Flying Lotus for Pharrell Williams and a lot more. And also seeing features like George Clinton, Thundercat, Bilal, Snoop Dogg, and Ronald Isley, who I knew. Then others like Anna Wise, James Fauntleroy, and Rapsody, which I didn't know really. But I knew he would take things into a different direction sound-wise and topic-wise that seemed really important, judging from things just like the album artwork alone, which has such a deep meaning. And after listening to this for however many years, I could definitely say this is an incredible album with so many important messages alongside such creative performances vocally, lyrically, and instrumentally. They're going into a much more jazz or funk sound with instances of basic hip-hop, and also R&B, classical, and rock even. And from everything you get, this could easily be labeled as maybe the best album not just the 2010s, but of all time. Let's get into this. Wesley's theory is the intro and immediately starts off the album strongly with this very grainy sample of Boris Gardner's song, which just from that and it being the beginning of the album, you already know you would be getting to something big. Then coming in strong with enchanting synths and bells with warpy bass and groovy drums. With that on its own already a hint of this being something big, with the spoken word and kind of setting the topic of this album, or the meaning of what the title of To Pimp a Butterfly means. And with Kendrick coming in very laid back on the chorus, but still very enticing with him, it seems describing fame as this female, not being interested, but now will do whatever it takes to get them. Then with his verse describing somewhat what he'll do once he gets that fame or power with a much more lively and aggressive personality, saying things like, when I get signed homie I'm act a fool, and if hit the press with the Cuban link on my neck, uneducated but I got $1 million check like that, kind of showing that even though he isn't educated, he thinks it doesn't matter considering he has money. Then the little refrains and background vocals from George Clinton and Thundercat add so much and fit so well. But I would have loved more from them, especially George Clinton. To then calm down with the phone call from Dr. Dre saying that if you want the house or anything that I have, you're gonna have to work for it seems. But to then come in with Kendrick playing the character of Uncle Sam saying, do you want this, and saying you have to worry about paying for it. Then at the end tying it back to the title Wesley's Theory, referring to Wesley Snipes. And then it goes into little parts from George Clinton, Thundercat, and ends there really with it ending with faint sax that transition to the great next song. With all that and just the intro is kind of scary, with how much I love this kind of funk sound and the great performances from George Clinton and Thundercat, but mostly Kendrick with his second verse being one of my favorite verses from him. And the incredible production from Ronald and Flying Lotus with Thundercat on bass. All the menacing keys and synths with the aggressive synth parts that come in every now and then and fit so perfectly. So overall this was an incredible intro and a top 3 for me. The 4-3 interlude then comes in big. It seems calm at first with the saxophone, but coming in strong with the heavy choir and aggressive drums with a whole jazz piece that Kendrick raps over. The incredible production from Terrace Martin is incredible with great bass and piano adding so much. But the other big highlights is Kendrick's incredible performance talking about how he did so much to help everyone in terrible situations, so he's saying now that what I do isn't free for you, with him repeating this dig ain't free. At least that's what I think it's about, sorry if I got it wrong. But the energy that Kendrick brings alongside the incredible jazz instrumental with him also giving an incredible fast-paced verse that fits so well while also talking about really important stuff. This is a big highlight, one of my favorites. King Kunta then goes into a more G-Funk or West Coast sound to it, being very calm and smooth but still has its aggressiveness, with bouncy percussion and incredible and aggressive but smooth bass line that complements Kendrick's smooth voice with everything else is incredible and fits the sound so well. Bring this braggy feel to it with the instrumental and also with the lyrics. Like I don't want you sitting in my throne again, I guess saying like he's the best, and to give him the throne. Also talking about making it to where he is. No one supported him, and now that he's successful, people want to support him to like use his success against him. This song gives off his very ominous feel to it with his voice, incredible lyrics, and also the instrumental with incredible bass line. Make it a top 5 definitely. Institutionalized was a song that was promising going into it with it featuring Bilal and Wise and Snoop Dogg. So going into it seemed to be a more relaxing song, and it definitely is, but it has a lot of serious tones to it, making it interesting and makes you want to listen. Starting very calm and groovy with these synths and repetitive sounding drums, bringing Kendrick to Dogg, it seems not wanting to stay in the life of not wanting to be connected to big wretches and stay back home. But then it switches up entirely with a new instrumental, bringing a more jazz feel, or I guess lo-fi feel even, with these calm chords, crackly drums, synths, and saxophone here and there. Bringing more involvement from all the features, bringing Bilal to play the character of Kendrick's grandmother, saying things won't change unless you do something about it. And nothing, it seems, wanting to be non-tranced by riches, with an even talking about his friends getting entranced from that because of Kendrick's fame. The bridge and outro from Snoop Dogg has this storytelling feel to it with his writing, talking about Kendrick, I think, coming to where he is. The Analyze doesn't offer much besides her part in the intro, but what she does brings a great, lively feel, sounding very ominous as well, with her voice. Kendrick's second verse has him going to a more third-person view, talking to Kendrick to not go towards that lifestyle, or at least telling him what that life would be like. So overall, this is one of my favorite songs on this album, but not one of my favorites compared to others, so it's mid. It's still one of my favorites on this album. These Walls was another song I was really excited to go into it with it featuring Bilal and Otherwise again, but also bringing Thundercat again. I love what they did. Bringing more R&B sound, I guess, with the lush vocals and groovy instrumental with the great road chords and bass line. Seeming to talk about sex or love into another entrancing field, I guess, seems good in the moment, but will put you down into a big spiral of mess. I don't know if that's what Kendrick is referring the topic to, I'm probably wrong, but that's what I think. It's definitely one of the more cheery sounding songs with the instrumental and vocals, which, by the way, what Bilal and the Wise and Thundercat do, while small, adds so much. But near the end, it starts to get more dark, ending off with a poem that I haven't mentioned yet, but came at the end of King Kunta and plays a big role throughout the album, and will show up a lot more. But this is definitely one of my favorites in the top 5 for me in general. The more funky and cheery feel is executed so well, but that feeling doesn't really show up a lot more. It changes the feeling like immediately with the next song. You is definitely one of the most depressing, scary, angry sounding, honest feeling songs from Kendrick, and the emotion in this song is so strong and pulling. Starting things immediately with Kendrick screaming and sounding very angry with the aggressive saxophone and vocals from Kendrick being an incredible performance. I don't know who he's talking to, but the emotion is so strong. You don't really need context. So then calm down with a beat switch, then one of Kendrick's best performances ever. Again, with incredible writing, talking to someone specifically, but I don't know. And what he does is phenomenal, sounding like he's on the verge of tears with his voice cracking. It's definitely one of Kendrick's best songs. Not top 5 just because I prefer other songs, but it's seriously incredible. Alright, and definitely the big hit on the album being one of the more simplistic songs on the album. It's still incredible with great contributions from Pharrell Williams on production, the chorus, and a lively performance from Kendrick bringing a more uplifting feel to everything, which I do think was needed. It's not one of Kendrick's best songs in my opinion, but damn, it's a good one. With the uplifting feel, it's great with the vocal samples, saxophone throughout, and I guess more trap-style drums, which is somewhat more of a weird sound that wouldn't fit, but I think it blends well with the other sounds on the album. Again, it's not the most impressive song on the album, but it's still incredible. The main reason why I think this song makes it great is the energetic performance of Kendrick that makes the song so much better. So it's not one of my favorites compared to others, but it's still a great song. The For Sale interlude is fine. It doesn't sound bad and definitely brings an important message, but it's just not interesting to me. Having a more calm feel to it with the synth, sax, and bass line sounds great, and Kendrick's very sporadic performance sounds great, but not the most entertaining for this long. And for the song being 4 minutes and 52 seconds long, I do think it can get boring. I don't want to really listen to a 5-minute interlude. What Kendrick does is great, seeming to talk from a third-person view again. I think telling Kendrick about Lucy or Lucifer, who also plays a major role in the story for this album. So it's not bad at all with a great instrumental performance, but I think it could have done more or just been shorter for an interlude. It is my least favorite song. Then end it off again with the poem and it's getting further throughout, transitioning very well into the next song. Momma is another song I don't care for too much, but still not bad whatsoever, just not too interesting. I do love the storytelling from Kendrick, seeming to talk about going back in life and looking back. Going back home, remembering all his mental notes or old memories. Then the groovy instrumental sampling the knowledge beat, which I love with the vocal sample, groovy synths and bass, and the clanky drum sound fits very well. Then ending off calm and somewhat menacing at the same time with the mellow and sinking feeling instrumental. The somewhat angry and crazy fast rapping is probably my favorite part of the song. So it's not a bad sound, and I've definitely grown to love it more, but it's just not personally a song I go back to a lot, but not bad whatsoever. Hood Politics is a great intro with great guitar and chords with a funny voicemail or whatever from someone telling Kendrick to pick up his phone and not go toward these things. And the rest of the song is fine, just overall not another song I go back to a lot. I love the aggression Kendrick brings with the warpy instrumental and great verses, making it very entertaining and also touching on important subjects, I guess, on expectations people had on him, or also the lifestyle they grew up around. I do like parts from the song like the intro, Kendrick's performance, the menacing section when Kendrick says Obama say what it do. And of course, this isn't a bad song, but again, not one I go back to a lot. But to end very chillingly with Kendrick continuing the poem with beautiful and ominous strings and horns playing the melody to the next song builds it up very well to one of Kendrick's best and most important songs ever. How Much a Dollar Costs is definitely one of the biggest songs with Kendrick's incredible writing and storytelling talking about the worth of $1 to someone and the story of that with a homeless man. With a homeless man asking for $1 and Kendrick thinking he'll use that dollar for bad things like drugs. The homeless man trying to convince him he won't, and at some points warning Kendrick if he doesn't give him the dollar, making a lot of religious references. Which then at the end, revealing that the homeless man was God. And this is just a beautiful story executed so well alongside the heavy drums, then cinematic strings and horns and calm keys. Also touching on things like what's most important in life with incredible chorus and just beautiful vocals from Fauntleroy. Then ending everything more mellow but still beautiful with more great vocals from Ronald Isley seeming to ask for forgiveness. So this is definitely one of Kendrick's best songs with incredible storytelling and cinematic production and incredible contributions from Fauntleroy and Ronald Isley. It isn't a top 5 for me considering there are other songs I prefer, but it is still one of the best songs on this album and one of Kendrick's best songs in general. Complexion and Zulu Love brings a somewhat more upbeat feel, but still has its many serious tones. And while I do love this song, it's not as good as others. Starting with a great chorus from P-Rock to then have Kendrick bring short but still incredible verses bring the whole topic together, touching on people's love, or I guess feelings towards someone based on their skin color, making judgments about them, with calm chords and female background vocals, but I also really love the background vocals and great bass line from Thundercat. Then Rapsody's performance is great, touching more on race and how I think we should all be treated equally. So again, while I do love this song, it's just mid in rating because it's not as good compared to others. Then the ominous vocals at the end from Kendrick bring the scary feeling and fits very well into the next song. The Blacker the Berry then brings probably the most angry song from Kendrick with its more rock instrumental having sharp keys, electric guitars, synths, and heavy bass. Then having Kendrick yelling throughout mostly all of his verses, and you can definitely hear the emotion and anger and fits so well with the instrumental. Then the chorus from Agent Sasco brings even more aggression and fits so well with the sound topic with his accent. Then ending off very dramatic with a calm jazz piece I think sampling Curly Martin by Terrace Martin. And his green fits so well. I know I'll never know the pain they go through, but the emotion here is so strong, making it probably my favorite Kendrick song ever. You Ain't Gotta Lie, Momma Said that brings another funky, more upbeat sounding song, focusing really on just how you don't need to lie to fake yourself or be accepted. And a lot of people say it is their least favorite song, and while it's not the most impressive or best song, it's still one of the weaker songs compared to others. But I do love what this song does with the instrumental and of course what Kendrick does. The vibe of the song is so great for me. For just such a simple topic, he's still able to bring big things in the song with, I think, Kendrick reminiscing on trying to be accepted growing up. So this is definitely one of my favorites. All these songs are incredible, but it's still probably one of the weaker songs compared to others. Then I end with it transitioning to the next song with the crowd. I then bring something different with it probably being the most uplifting song on the album. Also not really with the serious and racial topics brought up. Because with this version, Kendrick decided to use a live version of this song instead of the studio version. I think he made the right choice with what this version brings. This song is somewhat basic and not the best compared to others, but it's still great, and what this version brings makes the song incredible. Bringing this Isley Brothers sample with more funky guitar and bass than female background vocals sound great, talking about loving yourself, really, it seems. But around the end of the song, people in the crowd start to argue, making Kendrick stop to stun and break them up, going to talking about how we don't have much time left on Earth, so we shouldn't fight against each other. With Kendrick bringing an acapella verse, making everyone stop so they could listen to him. I guess staying his place as a leader. I think comparing him to a word I don't know if I could say. Sorry, I'm not that knowledgeable to that word, but the word that means king or ruler that originated from Ethiopia. So I love this version of the song a lot more than the studio version, but that version's still great. But the song overall isn't the best compared to others, but still one of my favorites, especially this version with the outro. Mortal Man is the outro and kind of gives this feeling of being at peace, but you still definitely want to listen with Kendrick touching on, I guess, asking, are you really willing to believe or stick with him? With him also touching on racism, fame, and more. With the calm keys and light drums and background vocals from I think James Fauntleroy sound incredible, with the somewhat triumphant feeling bass, saxophone, and strings fitting Kendrick's emotional feeling performance. The first section is incredible, but after a while it fades out, with Kendrick finally telling the entire poem he's been telling throughout the entire album. This showing that he was telling the poem to someone this entire time. That happens to be Tupac, by using segments from an old interview, and it sounds like they're actually there in the same room, touching more on racism, fame, and other topics. And alongside an incredible, strong, and cinematic jazz composition, I think composed by Kamasi Washington, and fits the conversation so well. Then ending off with another poem from Kendrick that a friend of his wrote, touching on the theme of a caterpillar, which kind of ties the entire story of the album together. With it then at the end asking Pac what he thinks, but Pac not responding back to end abruptly, ending the album. And in my opinion, this is a phenomenal outro, ending off a phenomenal album perfectly. And while more than half of the song isn't really a song, it's a top 3 for me. The song part is incredible with its message and cinematic instrumental. Till I can listen to the Kendrick and Tupac conversation so many times and never get sick of it, with the incredible jazz composition. So this is an incredible outro and song in general for an incredible album. And all I really have to say left is, this album just shows so much growth and emotion with it lyrically and instrumentally, giving off so many important messages with it. And for me, this is the best album of all time. 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching.